Hi everybody, good morning. Happy Thursday. For the video for today, we are just gonna go through a couple things on the homework number 8. So yesterday's video, we talked about exponential growth and decay. So on the front of the worksheet, we have word problems where I give you in the word problem the model of exponential growth or decay. And then I ask us a couple of questions. So the first question is always, what is the initial amount? So to get the initial amount, we always look at the number in front of the parentheses. The reason why I wrote million is because we're talking about population in terms of millions of people. In order to figure out the growth rate, I want to take the number inside parentheses, subtract 1 from it. That's how I get 0.03. And in order to write this as a percent, we need to move the decimal 2 units to the right. That's how I get 3%. Last question for number 1 says, what was the population in the year 2005? So we need to figure out what T is going to be. So from 1990 to 2005, 15 years went by. So that's why I'm using T is equal to 15. Remember, you want to do exponents before you multiply. So you will need a calculator. I'm not really concerned about how you're rounding. So if you're writing down like 12 million, that's fine. If you rounded to 12.5, that's also fine. For number 2, it's the same type of question. The initial amount of bacteria is 4. The growth rate as a percent should be 25. For part C, we should be using T is equal to 7 because it tells us 7 hours in the question. Again, we want to use or do exponents before we multiply by the 8 out in front. For number 3, we have a decay or a decline. So again, initial amount is always going to be the number out in front of the parentheses. What is the rate of decay as a percent? So decay is going to be when this number inside parentheses is less than 1. So we want to take 1 and subtract from it the number in parentheses, which gives us 0.1 or 0.10. I used an extra 0 as a placeholder because I do need to write it as a percent. So I have to move it 2 decimal places to the right, so 10%. T should be equal to 12 because from 2010 to 2022, there would be 12 years going by. So I subbed in 12 for the T. Again, I did exponents before I did multiplication. And again, I got about 351 or 352 elephants. I did in my post tell you to skip 10 and 11. You did not need to do those. We did not cover scientific notation, so you don't have to worry about 10 and 11. 4 through 9 were just some extra practice problems with exponent properties. So again, just a couple things I want to go through. When you're dividing like bases, remember we want to subtract the exponents. When we're multiplying like bases, we want to add the exponents. If, for example, we have something like this for number 8, we don't actually have like bases. Like there's only one base of M, one base of N, one base of P, one base of 3, one base of R, one base of S. So we can't actually do any combining because we don't have any like bases. So the very first thing that I started to do was move bases with a negative exponent to the opposite side of the fraction. I also knew that P to the 0 was just going to be 1. So as I came up with the next step, P dropped out of the final answer there. The only other thing I needed to do once I moved all of the bases to the correct spot in the fraction was I needed to simplify the numerical base. So 3 squared gave me 9.